Fanspeak, where the plan runs deep. The team grind hard, don't eat, don't sleep. From best ball dreams to DFS streaks, they help you print money every single week. Fanspeak. No cap, no gimmicks, we breaking limits. NFL bets, yeah, we live this business. Meg and Steve, that OG vision. Draft room killers on a lifelong mission. More stress to the Sunday spread. Fanspeak's that voice that's inside your head. Best ball, DFS, NFL bets. They built it brick by brick, no regrets. Fanspeak team, printing money since day one. Fanspeak, forever.
Welcome back to another episode of Talking Ball with Steve-O Speak. Yes, it is a Saturday edition. We are going to be doing these more on weekends as well. Sometimes, and as I mentioned on yesterday's stream, I might even be doing some two-a-days. Particularly doing different sports. Sometimes I'll maybe do multiple sports in a single show, but definitely want to keep drafting, keep doing more. Hope everyone is enjoying their weekend. Next week is the combine, really picks up end of the week and the weekend, and a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot to talk about the rookies, about we get all the beginning free agency stuff. Every coach is going to, be who's there, which most are. And if not, the GMs are going to have media sessions, so we get tidbits out there. One thing I want to keep in mind is a couple of years ago, and this was one I was definitely against, is, when Kellen Moore left the Cowboys and we heard that Mike McCarthy wants to run the ball, and everyone said, you can't draft CeeDee Lamb, you can't draft Dak Prescott. They are going to be a run-first team, run-heavy team. And really what it was is, if you looked at the full media session with Mike McCarthy, it was one comment in a long list, and he talked about wanting to just be a balanced offense, and, how he just prioritized that. But he talked, most of what he said was good, but everyone took their preconceived notions of Brian Schottenheimer, a little bit of Mike McCarthy, and just ran with it, no pun intended. And yeah, Dak led the league in touchdowns that year, and Lamb was wide receiver one. So definitely something to keep in mind. Context matters more than Twitter quote tweets, that definitely can get misconstrued and taken out of context. So we're going to get a lot of that. We're going to get a ton of rumors. Some will be legit, some will be complete BS, but it will be fun. So I'm looking forward to it. Because then a couple of weeks after that, of course, the free agency kicks off, and that's like the next big thing. I do think we'll see what rookies run and perform, but we're definitely going to see guys rise and fall because of that. So I do think for some guys who could, even though running is such a minor portion of the combine, it's a thing that is completely hyped up the most, and every 40 is watchable. So people will harp on that. And I think we should keep that in mind, because some of those guys are going to rise the most, even if they shouldn't. It happens every year. And so just something to keep in mind. It's one of the reasons why I've been hiring Emmett Johnson now. I like him overall, but I'm guessing he is going to be one of the running backs who runs. And I think he can put in a pretty decent time. So I'm going to expect his ADP to rise a little bit. Let's see. We'll get into the draft shortly. We got Mike Robin here. Steve-O Saturdays. Absolutely. We got Paul in here. Here we go. Yep. And, I did want to shout out Div in our Discord, our free Discord. You can join, link in the description. Yesterday, if you watched, I did a 5-receiver team to start, and he asked for just some deeper thoughts on my thought process the rest of the way. And what I told him, and actually let me bring up that team just to kind of show it. As we do, I'm a notorious non-labeler, so but I believe it was this draft. Yeah. So this was my draft yesterday. For the 3-hole, I started Jamar Chase, Drake London, got George Pickens come back. I was truly deciding between Pickens over London at 22. Get Pickens back to me. Then I get Devontae Adams to fall to 46, slightly past his ADP, but I have him as like a mid-third. So that was just an absolute steal for me. And then Terry McLaurin coming back to 51. That was just too good to pass up. And then I went with, then I knew I had to figure out every other position. Wide receiver was set. I'd still probably end up with about between 6 or 7. Definitely wasn't going to go 8. And I needed to start figuring out every other position. So that was my goal. Running back. Well, I missed it. I wanted to hammer this next window of running backs with some starting potential. I thought I did good with Ramondre Stevenson. Waited around, took a quarterback. I kind of wanted an anchor quarterback. I mentioned that to Div in the Discord. Then I went Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, and the aforementioned Emmett Johnson. And I mentioned this a little bit on stream yesterday, but wanted to highlight it a little bit more. The reason I went, now I didn't even have the choice of Corum or Monangai. The Monangai falling back to 92, maybe would have considered, but the reason why I kind of prefer Dowdle and Algier over those guys and Hubbard and even like a David Montgomery, well, all those guys have really good floors, very good floors. And I think as your, here, this is my second and third running back, but let's say as your third running back or fourth running back, if you have like 2 anchor guys, Henry and Travis Etienne or something like that, even not even the extreme top, guys like Corum and Monangai and even Hubbard and David Montgomery who should at the very least have very strong floors are fine. But here I was searching for more ceiling, more upside. If I'm gonna, even if my wide receivers dominate this room, and they should given my investment, I'm still gonna need, I can't be dead at running back. So Blake Corum could give me 6 usable weeks, but I need more than usable. I need guys who can spike. And Rico Dowdle, we saw it last year. Tyler Algier has a chance to hit free agency. He could get a really nice landing spot. Same with Emma Johnson as a rookie. I thought Johnson and Coleman were keys there. Over, again, didn't have the chance for JCM. But I just don't know if JCM has the same upside. Now, that doesn't mean like Mr. Mufasa. This is what I'm talking about. Like, he took many of those guys, but he had Jeremiah Love and Kenneth Walker. So as his, and Price, who I think is also very good, but his Montgomery and JCM is his 4th and 5th running backs. That's a far different story than if they're my 4th and 5th running backs or 3rd and 4th, because I need upside, and there's more floor there than upside. Tracy, I think, ends up being more of a floor play for me. But at that point, I don't have much else to go for. Dobbins might have had a little bit more upside. You can make a slight case that Gainwell has more upside. So then I hammered running back. Did take a tight end early because I liked the fall in Goddard. I did, I think I could have made a case to take in Connor over Goddard here, just with the way the rest of my tight ends worked out, getting Henry and Schultz. Like, if I took Connor over Goddard, stopped at Katron Allen, if I had to redo this, and taken a tight end here instead of Najee, Pat Frymuth would have been off the board, but I could have taken like a Stowers, a Mike Gesicki, somebody like that. I think that would have been more presentable. And truly what I probably would have done is taking the tight end here instead of Kupp. If Kupp comes back to me, great. Like, my wide receivers are just so set. I just needed bodies at that point. So, if I could have, redone this draft, I probably would have done that. I think my tight ends, fall a little bit. Goddard's a very good tight end. But my running back upside of Connor versus Najee is probably, pretty considerably higher. Now, maybe not, this is the thing of doing this pre-draft. Connor gets cut. Connor and Najee could both end up being like clear number 2 backs. So just something wanted to bring that up. I am going to get in to a couple drafts in a second. Paul saying, who's that 10 wide receiver drafter? What a noob. Yeah, that was, and it was interesting. Like, Paul, who typically loves starting heavy wide receiver, we kind of flipped our builds. Like, he went heavy running back, I went heavy wide receiver, and it's good to mix it up. Got money ain't a thing in here. Saturdays are for banana hammocks. I'm not sure where you're living, but definitely in Virginia, it's kind of cold. So no hammocking today. But in the summertime, that'd be fun. Did want to, before we get into the draft, touch in some news. We'll touch in some more as we go through. But Zach Charbonnet, Seahawks just announced, just had his surgery, 5 weeks after the injury. Definitely one of the reasons why it was a late injury to begin with, and now him not having the surgery until end of February. I think he's going to have a tough time being ready for week one or early in the season. I heard some people say, it could just be a couple weeks, but now with the surgery date being pushed back, I do think first half of the year is probably pretty much in question for Charbonnet at this point. Obviously, long way to go. Things can change. You have those guys like the Adrian Petersons who heal from these injuries like Wolverine, and then you have guys who, it takes 1.5 times to heal. So never fully know just yet, but did see that come through the timeline, and that is one of the reasons why I'm so wary on him and have him much lower than his current ADP. I'm hoping he falls, and hopefully with news like that he does, because it's not like I don't want any of them. I do recognize he could be a second half guy, a playoff guy if you get a team through, but I want to take that guy in the 18th round, not the 15th round. Exactly. Like, it's not a good sign. It usually means it's not a clean tear, and/or this is an extreme time, but a lot of times they won't do a surgery if there's too much swelling, which sometimes can be a clean tear, or just where I don't know enough medically, but I do know the swelling ends up being a big factor with that. Appreciate Jamie jumping in chat. Happy weekend to you as well. And let's get into our first draft. We can do at least 2, maybe a third one today. I'm seeing that I have a couple slows going, but I've gotten 48 in so far. For the big board is sitting at 38% filled. The little board, I've only done 5 so far, and that is sitting at 35% filled. So we will probably at least do 1 little board, 1 big board today. Maybe do 2 of 1. We'll see where we're at after the first 2 drafts. So let's start with the big board. Enter in 10 seconds, and in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. So it looks like a fresh room, waiting on 8. Zach Charbonnet, good to see you, Emo. We're talking about Zach Charbonnet, the news that he just had surgery, 5 weeks after the injury. So definitely one of the reasons I'm very wary on him right now, particularly his current ADP, just because I think we could be looking at him missing at least half a year. We got Al Boogie checking in, GM. Hope everyone is well. Still waiting on 7. Now weighing on 8. That's not great. Yeah, and that's what I said. Swelling usually ends up being a big factor, and I don't know medically well enough if that means it wasn't a clean tear and that's why there's more swelling or stuff like that. Just in general, it's not a great thing when you have to wait. Definitely sets back your timeline. Neighbors had to wait. That was concerning as well. And, one of the reasons why we just haven't gotten as good of news on Neighbors. And he had such an early injury that, ideally we were hoping that he'd be 100% ready. It's going well, Emo. Doing good. Trying to get couple drafts done this afternoon. And, kind of the pre-combine push, which, I just, the big board being 38%, little board being 35%, I think that's pretty good for pre-combine. I think next week you're going to see kind of big jumps, and then free agency, another big jump. So probably by the time you get to middle of March, I would expect both to be like 70%-ish full. So in about a month, I think you could see the percentage about double on both. Yeah, typically the 9 to 12 month timeline for ACL, so now a bigger dog to play in 2026. Exactly. Like, it was already having an injury in January isn't great to begin with, and now you've pushed it back to end of February. Even on the 9-month frame, you're missing time. And if it pushes to 12 months, it could be almost all the season. So yeah, that's why I have him ranked significantly lower. I hope he starts to fall. Just right now I feel like people aren't baking in enough of the risk. Slap it up. What are your thoughts on Chris Bell? He's projected to go round 2, but is coming off an injury. Is he worthy of a late round dart? He seems like an elite athlete. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Chris Bell. I think we have a situation here where if he didn't get his tear up his knee, and just this is the perfect example. Like, he got injured, I think end of November, got the surgery early December, and so we're talking like over a 2-month difference between him and Charbonnet. Also different positions, I get it, but yes, he probably might not be ready to start the year, but we should feel much better that he's going to play the majority. I point to Jameson Williams, who tore up his knee in a national championship game a couple years ago. He did play some as a rookie, missed significant time, but played some as a rookie, and that was a month plus later than Chris Bell. So I think it's a 20th round click, especially in the 20 round format right now. Because had he not gotten injured, I think he would have been pushing for first round. I think he would have been pushing to be wide receiver 4 or 5 in this class. And, he's still going to need a good landing spot, because you could have some teams who just totally just see him as a stash play for next year. Other teams could look at him as, okay, yeah, he's going to be a second half guy for us. So I think it will kind of depend. Like, one of the things, a couple years ago, again, different position, Jonathan Brooks, who actually had an injury relatively similar time. But, running back, one reason I didn't like him for Carolina is, what motivation did Carolina have to play him a lot as a rookie coming off a major knee injury? Fortunately, they did play him. He was still on a limited snap share, and he got re-injured. So there's definitely risk there. I think landing spot will be somewhat determining his value. But as a 20th round click, 19th, 20th round click right now, I think it's very, very strong to have a percentage. Like, I'm probably shooting for 4%, 2 to 4% of him. Not going to go crazy, but I want some shares for a guy who, has more upside, And if the landing spot is right, we could see him perform down the stretch for us. All right, I'm in two hole. Legion's in the 5. We got Sweet Leaf in the 9. Al Bookie in the 10. Super Shorty, is that Steph? In the 11. King QC in the 6. So should be a fun draft. So I'm pretty much always going to be taking Bijan and Gibbs, particularly at this point. The receivers are all worthy. Jonathan Taylor, we know, is worthy of top pick. I mean, his season last year, I think could be even better. If Daniel Jones is healthy. But Bijan and Gibbs, this is kind of where you kind of need to take Gibbs in the top 3 picks. Bijan is 1 and rarely 2. So I want my percentages of them. I'm gonna just kind of click them almost every time. So some of the other news from yesterday, last night, this was a pre-combine interview, but the Chiefs, Andy Reid did kind of put it out there that they're talking to Travis Kelce. I think that's very promising. If it was, and we know Travis Kelce, he's a free agent, but he's only going back to the Chiefs. He's not going to play another year and go play for Cleveland, which would be technically a hometown team. But it's not going to be something like that. It's just going to be the Chiefs. And it sounds promising. And I think if retirement was really serious, we probably wouldn't even hear, why would Andy Reid even feed the beast? So my guess is we will hear in the next week about Travis Kelce. I think we'll probably also hear within the same time frame about Aaron Rodgers. Keenan Allen, I don't know. I hope we hear soon. I hope he still plays. I mean, everyone wants to write him off, but he's still been effective these last 2 years. So that's why I do take a little Keenan Allen right now. Steph saying, I appreciate you joining. I ended up in stream chat without even knowing, without him trying. Yeah. Johnson around 7 incoming. I'm guessing I'm not going to get an Emma Johnson fall to me. We got Nick in here. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining. But some of the other tidbits that came about Chiefs. So I do think it's promising for Kelce. There's the report that, these are always fun. The Travis Etienne has interest in the Chiefs, and then Mahomes and Etienne are following each other on Instagram. Okay. I'm sure he does have an interest in the Chiefs. And I'm sure the Chiefs should have an interest in him. We'll see, if the Jags work out a deal. I still think his preference is probably the Jags. He's talked about wanting to play in more of a sunny area, so that limits your options. And he went to Clemson with Trevor Lawrence. He's been with Lawrence his entire career. He had a great year with Liam Cohen, so I'd imagine he'd want to go back. But Chiefs would be a good landing spot for him if he walks. And the other thing that came out of the Andy Reid thing was he was asked about Tyreek Hill. And I think he laid it out of how we should treat it is Hill is just working to see if he can play. We're not even focused on him being a free agent. And that's the other report that we heard this past week, that he'll need to have another surgery. So another guy I'm not currently taking as ADP because I think the injury risk is just too high right now. It could be kind of a lost year for Hill. And so no need for me to chase at this point. Get the news. How did Bing and I go? Didn't go out to bingo night last night, Mike. It was tempting offers, but no, didn't end up doing that. So let's take Derrick Henry. Go back to my normal running back starts. ADP, we'll just go follow that. I like Chase Brown here. Chase Brown, another guy who, if you really isolate his games with Burrow and Flacco, he fared much better. And yeah, Burrow has his share of injury history, but it sounds like they want to extend Chase Brown. I think he's just an integral part of that offense. And while P. Ryan can be annoying enough to prevent Chase Brown from being, in the mix for running back one, I do think he has enough of a role to be a top 10 running back. So let's go to the board. Legion 021 in QC, same. Al Boogie about to make his third pick, Steph right behind him. So we've seen a lot of Rice falling of late, not seen it here, him going 27th. Yeah, that's definitely not going to be on my bingo card. I just think there's just way too much risk to be taking Rice in the top 30, honestly top 40 right now. Could have a significant suspension, and being cut is not out of the realm of possibility. Steph comes back with two receivers, T-Mac and McConkey. Boogie does the same with Higgins and Adams. So, no, he had Jefferson. So he's at 1-3. So yeah, it's a very strong wide receiver room with Hampton as kind of the anchor. And I'll see if any receivers get back to me that I like. Ooh, Terry going in QC, taking Terry there. I was kind of counting on like a McLaurin in that range. Not in love with the receivers right here, so I'll just take Lamar. Get all the Ravens offense. So basically the same decision here. Don't love having a rookie be my first receiver. But This is probably could end up being a 9 receiver team. I do think we'll catch up. Yeah. Paul asking, which bar are you hitting up at 8 a.m. to watch Canada cry? I mean, why? I just don't understand. The semifinal games were yesterday, and both started late. Like the first one started at what, 10? I could be wrong on the Canada game, but the US game was, at what, 2? I know it was when I was streaming yesterday, and I started streaming at 2. And I think it was right around that time, maybe 2:30. So I have no idea why it's an 8 a.m. Game, gold medal game for one of the sports that is going to just have like a ton of international appeal. And yeah, I mean, obviously European players are roughly in that same time zone, but for Canada and the US, it just ends up being, of course, both, but there was a real shot of that. I don't know. I have no idea why they scheduled it there. I won't be hitting up a bar, but I am looking forward to watching. And and this is the other part of it is West Coast, which, for both US and Canada, like that is a very, very early start. Just surprising, that was even ever an option to start it that early. Good. Whoheem's checking in. Hope you're doing well. This is first draft of the day. Gonna do at least 2, maybe 3. Already was talking some about the Zach Charbonnet surgery report. They just had surgery. Also talked about your Chiefs. The Travis Kelce talk with Andy Reid, the Travis Etienne interest for the Chiefs. And, I think that's probably more smoke. That's not really connecting dots. That's Chiefs need a running back. Etienne's one of the best running back. Etienne, if he's going to leave the Jags, he's probably going to want to go to a top contender like the Chiefs. So I'm not shocked by any of that. I do think the Tyreek, the way Reid talked about Tyreek Hill, I thought was interesting, and kind of just putting it out there, like he's a ways away from playing, and that's what needs to worry about as well. So there was a report. I saw it in Pro Football Talk, but I'm sure it's everywhere. Charbonnet the Seahawks announced he just had his surgery, so we'll go DK Metcalf here. So, that's five weeks after the injury is when he finally had his surgery. So and as Emo pointed out, the typical is 9 to 12 months. So now, 9 months puts you in November. So I do think it puts some concern in the Charbonnet, and particularly where he's still going. I do not like this range. I'm going to take Alec Pierce. And I like Tyler Warren. My tough thing with taking Warren here is I just feel the tight end position, a couple rounds later, Pitts, Laporta, and Laporta is coming off an injury, but just have similar upsides. Right after that, Gadsden and Kincaid, part of, elite offenses. I'm out on Kittle, as you can see by my rank. But then you just get into, Ferguson, Goddard, Strange, and then that tier in the 40s, 140s and 150s. Juwan Johnson, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, Travis Kelce. I mean, I don't know. As much as I love Tyler Warren, I just felt I needed a receiver there. Yeah, no, I mean, if he comes back and he's 100% fine in November, but you know, if it's a slower recovery injury and it's pushing more like 10 months, 11 months, he might not even make it back really at all. And even when he comes back, it could be a ramp up period. We see this with a lot of guys. Like look at, you know, Chris Godwin last year. Look at, you know, even now, like Diggs was ready for the start of the season, but the first couple of weeks, he was clearly on a bit of a snap count. And then he started taking off and playing much better and ended up having a pretty good year. So you just really run the risk of him not doing much of anything next year. And to me, that's just not currently being baked into his ADP. You know, where he's going is, you know, 155. And a lot of times he goes right around there. And, you know, like these other backs here in that ADP range are, yeah, their situation is questionable. Like maybe Tennessee doesn't cut Pollard. Maybe they add somebody else. Maybe the Jets keep Hall, you know, or add somebody else. Maybe Aaron Jones is somewhere else. White and Kamara could be elsewhere. But we know they're at least going to play all, you know, like they're set to play all year. It's just a tough for me to want to invest at that price. So coming up, these two picks, got my 3 anchor running backs, starting to catch up at receiver. Got a quarterback in the middle. Diggs continues to fall. That continues to surprise me, given where he was last year. Even if the Patriots add a receiver this year, it can get worse. He's the number 2 option tied to a great quarterback. Not sure I fully understand the fall. I do like Pittman in this range, though he could get moved. Moore, I think, does get moved. I think he's fine in this range. Pitts, yeah, you know, as I mentioned before, I think it can really pay off this price. So Corm goes, yeah, I'm going to take Jadarian Price. He rarely is falling back to the mid-90s. So another guy who, after the combine, I think you could see his ADP rise even more. This is very likely shaping up into a 5 running back team. Is where I'm at. Do I take another quarterback here? Or a receiver? Not my favorite range. I think I'm just going to go Pitts. Could be a 2 tight end team, depending, you know, when I start with Pitts. And also, Pitts is a guy who, you know, wasn't taking the first couple of weeks because his ADP, you know, starting 41, that was clearly wrong. But even when he was going in the 50s, the 60s, 70s, you know, I took him maybe one time when he was in the 70s. Now that he's in kind of really settled into the 90s, early 100, I want to, you know, take some shares. I think there's a lot of potential surplus value now. Ooh, ow, sorry. He said he wanted Laporta. So took Dak Prescott as a second quarterback, unstacked. I mean, you know, I don't think it's a terrible call because at least that's a range, and there's ways to still get a stack with Dak, particularly since you missed on your tight end. But I get it. You're setting something up and it didn't come to fruition. So I'm thinner than I'd like at wide receiver. Only having 3 in the top 100. Definitely going to be a 9 wide receiver team. Might even be a 10 wide receiver team like Legion did yesterday in my draft. And yeah, I don't mind. I'm going to have decent volume, so why not mix it up with some different builds? So I'm still going to pretty much go through quarterback, but setting up to be potentially only a 5 running back team, maybe a 2 tight end team, that could allow me to get up to 10 receivers if I need to. So Shakir, Samuel, Higgins. Won't take a second tight end here. Could go Tyler Shuck. Or not. He goes, you know what? I'm taking my guy. Emma Johnson, done at running back. Very heavily invested. I know, but I love this room. Gibbs, Henry, Chase Brown, and then 2 very fun rookies. We are obviously done at running back. Just looking at this the rest of the way. And this is just not my, I'm likely taking one of these receivers. Could take Darnold. What's quarterback looking like? I will take Chris Godwin. I think you could have a nice bounce back year with or without Mike Evans. If Mike Evans leaves, I think Godwin is a smack. Like Godwin's ADP could rise 30, 40 spots if Mike Evans leaves. And if not, I still think he can return clear value at the 122 area. So I'm sitting at 1541. Legion is 2351. King QC 1441. Al Boogie 2341. And Steph is at 145. Legion double tapped in the 6th, 7th round quarterback, Caleb and Herbert. I like that. I took Lamar early, but that does feel nice. And had there been a receiver that I liked more, say Terry McLaurin was there, I definitely think would have been taking Terry McLaurin. And then, pivoting to 2 quarterbacks. Because right now, who knows who my second quarterback ends up being. Mendoza. Steph just takes Mendoza. So we'll see if I can get something back. Kittle game pulled up to the 109. Don't think that's Meg's burner account. But no, he's just another one. The playoff injury, I really am wary about. And I do think the 49ers have a history of being cautious with their guys. I also made the point yesterday, they're starting in their game in Australia. There's zero, to me, there's 0% chance he's playing down under. Why would they have somebody with a lower body leg injury have that flight? Does not seem like a likely scenario. And I truly think it's probably more like missing a month. So let me make these picks here. I'm not taking one of these receivers, I can promise you that. Done at running back, so not even sure why I clicked on that. We are going to take a quarterback, and thankfully Cam Ward is there. Yeah, this pocket wide receiver dried up. That's unfortunate, but that's fine. I will take a tight end. I'll pull up Andrews. Sometimes he falls back, and I do like the Goddard fall, but I think I'll probably be stopping at 2 tight ends. So let's get a stack. Andrews definitely having his, technically his worst year. I mean, it's truly not far off 2023. I know that was, he missed time, and so points per game, he was much better. But, I just think Mark Andrews, he may not be tight end 3, but could he be tight end 7, tight end 8? Sure. All right, so now I'm sitting at 2.542. Going to be a very wide receiver heavy draft the rest of the way. Who I'm seeing? I watched Steve Smith's top 10 wide receiver thing. He left both Indiana wide receiver out. I'm not scared. That's interesting to me because I know he did. I think it was before national championship game where he broke down both Surratt and Cooper Jr. and he talked about how much of a fan he was on both of them. So surprised neither made his top 10. If you told me that they were 9th and 10th, I would have not agreed with it, but at least understood it. But yeah, definitely surprised neither made his top 10. That's definitely not the consensus. I don't think that's going to be how it plays out either. And I will be, I really hope Surratt does all the positional work, and Cooper. I hope they both do. I think they're both very NFL ready with their route running. So I think that will help them. And, I hope Surratt does the workouts, even if he has bad combine 40. Not going to be scared. I think his other numbers will be fine. And Cooper Jr. I think could have a pretty solid 40 time. Not like sub 4.4, but mid 4.4s, like 4.45, something like that. I think they both will have decent jumps. So hopefully they're working out. Generally, I don't expect the top guys at the position to work out. Sometimes there's exceptions. Roman Dunze worked out a couple years ago. I think that helped his case. Guys like, and so did Brian Thomas Jr. and some others. But yeah, I wouldn't obviously expect Love. I wouldn't expect, I don't know if Tyson will. Lemon is an interesting one because I don't know if Lemon's going to run a super great time. And I don't fully care because I think that would just push him more into the majority slot conversation. But I could see him avoiding the 40 just because I don't know if that's his biggest skill, like the route running, the short area work, that kind of stuff. He's going to do well, but I don't think he's going to have a massive 40. He would have a good 40 time. All right, coming up here, are there receivers available? And the answer is yes. I'm going to take DK early. It is now a stack for me. So makes total sense. Quarterback is dried up. Tack on something later. These tight ends, Sadiq would be a value, but very likely to go 2 tight end at this point. And if not, it's going to be a late round add-on. Let's do it. Let's get Elijah Surratt. let's see who I'm saying. The absolute latest either would go, in my opinion, is early third to the Raiders. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think early third round is the absolute latest. It kind of all depends on how many receivers go. If let's say only 4 receivers go in the first round, then that pushes, like on average, 5 or 6 receivers go in the first round, but this year could be 4. And that could push down guys, and then that continues. And every now and then we see that where guys get pushed to the third round who we expected to be kind of second round locks. But yeah, I wouldn't be too worried for either one. I think third round can still be very good capital. How are we feeling about Ayuk's melted ice cream video? Take the ice cream before him. I can't say I saw it. Feel free to fill me in. James Charles, I'm guessing that's what he's reacting to. Good to see you in here. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, what was the melted ice cream video? Okay, Alex saying the ice cream video was fake. So maybe I'm not missing much. I saw something on Twitter today about Ayuk that some streamer, Ayuk asked him for 100K appearance fee or something. I don't know. I definitely shouldn't be his focus. That's what I'd say. But yeah, I tweeted by parody account. I appreciate filling that in, Alex, and good to see you. Hope you're doing well. The Ayuk stuff is, I know he's probably most people connect him to my Washington Commanders. I'm personally not a big fan of it. Like, I just can't trust the talent. Is he wants to play. It's just so tough for me for a guy who quit on his team and also considered one of the better teams out there. This wasn't the Browns. This wasn't the Jets. I'm not saying you should quit on those teams either, but this wasn't, Dan Snyder's Washington, teams. This was the 49ers, who are one of the more well-run organizations, obviously had one of the best teams this year, and he just decided not to show up. And to the point that was so bad that even, he didn't even fight it. Like, he knew his time was over. So let's look for some upside here. We're going to go Torrey Horton. I took DK, took Surratt, took Horton. So now I'm just firing bullets here to get some upside plays. I do think this could end up being a 10 receiver room. That is very unique for me, but I feel I need to catch up. When my first receiver is Carnell Tate, and then followed by Metcalf, Pierce. Do I double tap Tennessee? I don't hate that idea. I also like Tesla, but yeah, I think I'll double tap Tennessee with the Ward. If I didn't have Ward, I don't think I would. I do think Tennessee's bringing in a receiver. But how good that is going to depend on, how much it hurts Degen Manor. I think Manor is probably a little outside of like a Wandale. Manor is probably a little bit more at risk to be hurt. But even so, even if he's the number 3, pick 194, Brian Dable offense, second year Cam Ward. I think there's enough there. The video was him holding an ice cream late at milk for 9 minutes in his hand. Not sure if it was real, but it was funny. Sounds like it wasn't real, but boy, yeah. I don't know. Where's everyone else at for Ayuk? I just can't do it. I mean, I was out on him last year, and I thought he'd come back at some point, but it just sounded bad vibes all around. Bad return from injury. And yeah, just gave up, quite a bit of guaranteed money. That is pretty wild to me. So I'm going to probably be near 0% Brandon Ayuk. Now, maybe when he signs somewhere, maybe we get some great coach speak. And I know he might go up there, but then maybe I could at least justify it in a stack or something like that. But right now, I think I'm out. So, I'm now saying that 2582, we'll try and tack on a third quarterback just for, even insurance policy. Tight end could. I think the 10th receiver with this build probably is going to be somewhat necessary. Even if it's another dart throw, like a rookie or second year guy who may or may not have a role. This room could use some help. Did I mute myself? Can you guys not hear me? Let me know if you guys are not able to hear me. After these picks, I will look into it. Aaron Rodgers goes. I was hoping for that. I'll take Cooper Kupp first. Get the second piece of the Seattle. Actually, I'm going to take Malachi Fields. I want to ensure that I get him. Whatever quarterback I get in the 20th round. I think I'd take Justin Fields above some of these other names, but Derek Carr might be more playable. Garrett Nussmeier. All right, good. I'm glad you guys can hear me, Kelly. Mr. Mufasa, appreciate everyone for joining. Mr. Mufasa said Ayuk is going to Washington. He's flying up the boards afterwards. That's my fear, and I might just be totally out. I know Jaden was his college teammate for 1 year, 7 years ago, right? It's not like they just were in college together. I'm gonna be out, but I do worry about that. Ayuk is a biohazard. Yeah, it's just. I can't do it. I just don't even see the upside. And honestly, if he goes to Washington, I think Terry's still going to be the alpha. I think it hurts Terry a little bit potentially, but I'll just take more Terry, their tight end, whoever that ends up being. Yeah, just not a fan. I'm at 2-5-10-2, a very unique build for me. I will tack on a quarterback here. Could be a complete zero, but I like having outs for an insurance policy. If anyone who starts, you're live to hit the lineup some weeks. Justin Fields, it was about as bad as it got, but he got 3 usable weeks before he got benched and / injured. Tua had some usable weeks. Mariota, as a backup, had usable weeks. Gino, I think, had 1 or 2 as well. So that's where I'm at. I know they're really good friends. I'm saying they played together 7 year. Like it was Jane Daniels, I think, freshman year at ASU. It's not as if this is not, Burrow Chase. And we'll go Geno. Where they played together and took the college football by storm, or even like Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, stuff like that. Like they've apparently remained close, and Ayuk advised Jaden Daniels about his draft, coming out the year before and going back to school and all that. Sure, I get it. I'm just not sold that that's going to translate into keeping Ayuk on the football field and focused. And I just don't think it's good. I would not want it to be solely because of the quarterback. I worry, Washington now has a David Blau, and it's not, he's a first year up until 3 weeks at the end of the season when he took over as quarterback coach when Richard went to Stanford. He was an assistant quarterbacks coach. He's like 31 years old. You're going to have Brandon Ayuk come in. Like, that's just a tough sledding to me for a first-year offense coordinator, young guy, very inexperienced. I mean, got a lot of upside potential, but this is not like, and not that I would want Ayuk or think Ayuk should go there, but like if he went to the Rams, who now have a young offense coordinator, but you have Sean McVay in place, you have Cliff Kingsbury in place. You just have a lot of experience in the room, in the building. You have a veteran quarterback in Matt Stafford who can, right the ship. You'd have Terry McLaurin as a veteran receiver. But if you told me Ayuk goes to the Rams, that would make way more sense to me. I don't even think it's great. I don't necessarily think that's what they should do, but at least I could get it. Even the Bills, like, that's not what I'd spend my money on to fix my receiver problem for Josh Allen. But, yes, it's a first year head coach, but Joe Brady's been coaching the league for a while, has, been offense coordinator for years. Josh Allen is much more established, etc. So I just think it's has just so much potential for it to implode. And disbanded saying I hate diva wide receivers. I mean, look, I expect there to be a lot of diva in the wide receiver room. That's fine. But what I care about, and I talked about this the other day, is, if you watch the Netflix receiver show, and what was so interesting is you had two 49ers there, one being tight end, George Kittle, but you Debo and George Kittle, and these guys are fighting back to get back as soon as possible from injuries. If you remember that season, this was a couple years ago, but Debo, he's doing rehab, and the trainer is like, what's the pain level? And he's like 9. And the next week he's back. Like, that's what NFL players want to see, as teammates, as, whatever. Brandon Ayuk quitting on his team, I think it's going to be a tough thing. So, like, people think Debo's a diva. He's a diva, sure, but he plays football. That's what it comes down to. Terrence saying, I'm simulating a version of fan fiction in which GM does something that makes sense and sign Mike Evans to the Bills. I'm drafting accordingly. I mean, I'm not necessarily stacking it up, but my take on Evans is, now that we know, he's not retiring, I still think Tampa's most likely, but if he leaves, it's to the Bills, it's to the 49ers, it's to, some other good location in my book. I don't see him going to Cleveland. I don't even necessarily see him going to like the Ravens. I mean, I think that there's a small percent chance to the Ravens just because obviously they have Lamar and everything, but I just see him going to probably, and being prioritized, going to an offense that's going to feature him and or chance to win a ring. Like, Ravens give you that, but it's a low volume passing offense. So my hope is, Bills or 49ers if it's not Tampa. Taking an 11th receiver would have been way off brand for me. This is exactly where I'm at. Slap it up. Like, NFL receivers, the corners, there's a lot of divas out there. I get it. and you'll forgive quite a bit. But yeah, quitting on a team can be really tough. And it's just, we don't see it at that level. You know, giving up that much guaranteed money is wild. I mean, I also can't imagine, like, from a perspective of the league, players around the league, because, you know, players fight to get guaranteed money in their contracts and stuff like that. Every CBA, that's a big issue. And we have a player here who's just absolutely, you know, the union, he didn't even want the union to fight for him. We never see that. All right, so let me look through these drafts. Then we'll get into another one and possibly even do a third. Very unique build for me, 3-5-10-2, Lamar, Cam Ward, Geno Smith. I have an outside chance of 3 starters. Definitely need the Lamar to be the anchor for this, makes sense. Went heavy running back, but stopped at 5. Gibbs, Henry, Chase Brown. So 3 to start, then took 2 rookies. Well, slightly ahead of ADP. I like the prices for both. You know, I think there's a real outside, you know, there's a real chance I end up with 5 starting running backs. So I feel good about that. Receivers thinner, but I threw volume at it. I still have Carnell Tate, you know, should be an early first round pick, a 1 or 2 on a team. DK Metcalf, probably 1 on a team. Ollie Pierce, a 1 or 2 on a team. Chris Godwin, 2 or 3. Shamir, DK, you know, 1 to 3. Elijah Surratt, you know, 2 or 3. And kind of down the list, kind of the same types of things. So I balanced out some veteran guys, and that's also why, even with Horton, I took Cooper Kupp. Like, I wanted some floor play to go along with the upside, and, you know, double Seattle, double Tennessee, maybe not even having the 1 on either of them isn't my favorite thing, but I like those rooms where I think Horton or Kupp is going to be the number 2 in Seattle, and probably the other one's going to be the number 3. I think Shaheed moves on, and that's probably how it breaks down. Tennessee, I've said it before, they had somebody, but DK and Ian Manor are probably the, you know, both still in the top 3 on the team. And, you know, I think that's fine. And, you know, Malachi Fields tacking on another rookie at the end with some touchdown and upside potential. Only went 2 tight ends, but I like where I'm getting Kyle Pitts now at around pick 100. Mark Andrews, sometimes he slides even further, but with the stack and, you know, just his track record, I think we're getting a nice price on him. Let's look at the rest of the draft room. Legion going 2-6-9-3. Caleb Herbert, I talked about it during the draft. He double tapped in those middle rounds, or, you know, early mid rounds. You know, he kind of balanced out his running back room. JT, Kenneth Walker, Swift getting 3 in the top, you know, 5 rounds, and then 3 others. Mason, Vidal, Singleton, you know, 2 guys who at worst should be number 2s, and then Singleton, nice little wild card there at the end. Receiver room, you know, similar to me, didn't have a lot in the top 100. Addison at 101, but 3 kind of in that range. But, you know, a little better with Olave as more of an anchor. Shakir, Coker, Shaheed. I do like this tier. You know, I kind of missed on this tier a little bit. Pat Bryant, Jeremy Bernard, and Devon Bailey. So, you know, he went as a strong, solid core, but still has volume to support it as well. I think that's a good way to play it. Like, even if 1 or 2 of these are misses, you have some depth to cover it. And if you're right, you know, on the Addisons, the Shakirs, the Cokers, Shaheed, then, yeah, you know, you just have some nice extra depth for buys and injuries. Loveland early, then likely and not in late. So strong tight end room, Loveland as well. King QC 3-6-8-3. Baker, Kyler, Cousins. Very likely to end up with 3 starting quarterbacks. Love, Bucky, Harvey. Again, 3 in the top 5 rounds. Then Rico Dowdle, Kamara, Isaiah Davis, JSN, Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton. I'm a big fan of that, this receiver room with Xavier Worthy. I think there's a lot of value there for guys like Sutton and Worthy that, particularly when you're getting Sutton past ADP. Casey Concepcion, he took the brand new shot, but 20 picks later, that's when it starts to be in a better area. Zachariah Branch, Kyle Williams, and Tucker Craft Sadiq, who we've just been seeing him falling more and more. I think that's good because he's a guy who could rise after the combine. Terrence Ferguson, I don't have much Sadiq, so I probably should get a little bit more of him. But then Terrence Ferguson as well tacked on. So nice solid tight end room as well. We got Al Boogie in here, 2783, Burrow, Prescott, Hampton, Judkins, Monangai, Kenneth Gainwell, James Conner, Rashard White, Rashard Smith. Monangai, good floor play. Gainwell, we'll see where he lands. But ideally, a team sees what he did last year and gives him a role. Same with James Conner, whether he's back with Arizona, whether it's somewhere else. If he's healthy, we just saw 2 years ago, the guy produces. Jefferson, Higgins, Devontae Adams, love that wide receiver start. Then he waited. Juwan Jennings, we'll see where he ends up in free agency. Jalen McMillan, Donnie Mitchell, Flournoy, and Jacoby Lane. And then tight end room of Gadsden, Njoku, and Gesicki. Gesicki is like the freest of tight ends. Noah Fant's gone, and whether since he had somebody or not, Gesicki's numbers were massively down last year because when he played, it was with Jake Browning, and then he missed the whole Flacco window, and then he came back and had actually a couple good games with Burrow at the end. And then Steph rounding it out at 3683, Drake May, Mendoza, Bryce Young, so 3 starting quarterbacks. Cook, Genty, 2 anchor backs, then Hubbard, Coleman, Mike Washington, Jordan James, T-Mac, Ladd, Jordan Tyson, Jacoby Myers, Denzel Boston. So 5 receivers in that around top 100 range, and then followed up with Josh Downs, Trey Tucker, so a piece with Mendoza, and Brennan Thompson. Very interesting guy. Talk about guys who could fly up the boards literally after the combine. Would not be surprised if he's running a sub 4.3. One of the best deep ball receivers in college. Kind of a one-year wonder. So, would his draft capital be well to see, but 20th round click is a fun one because he has spike week potential for sure. Hunter Henry, Schultz, and Gunnar Helm. That to me is a great late tight end room, what I typically like to do. So that feels really good. All right, let's get into another draft. I'm going to do a little board, and then if I do a third one, we can ask chat if you want to do a little board or a big board, but I've only done 5 little boards so far, so I need to start picking up the pace here a little bit. So let me enter a little board now, entering in 10 seconds. And in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. All right, waiting on 10. I know these can take a little bit more to fill up, but if anyone needs to fill up their little boards, jump on in. Paul saying needs one more for a bigger board. So anyone who wants to do the exact opposite, join Paul in there. So wait on 9 now. We'll give it a second. Hopefully we can fill this. So give me start doing some of these on stream as well. Hopefully if the little board's pace picks up kind of as I expect to do over the next couple weeks, we might get some other tournaments Those who do baseball, the little eliminators might have filled up today. But baseball, they did $3. They were all smaller, but $3 contests so far. Did a $5 contest, like a 5 max contest. So I do think if the little board starts filling up soon, we could start to see underdog drop some more stuff. Terrence saying Njoku or Goddard on Commanders seem like best fits, available vets. Yeah, I mean, I could see Likely as well. Good thing for the Commanders is they already have their blocking tight end. You know, they love John Bates, one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. I could see them maybe settle for like a K. Dotton. They are talking about wanting to be more under center this year. That could lead to more, 12 personnel. So while K. Dotton doesn't offer the upside of like an Njoku or Goddard or Likely from a passing standpoint, they could say we could have 2 pretty good blocking tight ends. Yeah, I kind of see the Commanders in that range. I don't see Chig as much. I think he's just a little bit more limited than even Likely. But maybe as a fallback. I'd love for them to get Goddard. I think he's kind of the best of both worlds. Not as dynamic as a couple of the tight ends. But he's always missed some time, which is concerning, but a lot of tight ends do. And but his like points per game, fantasy points wise, and just like you see it on the field, just watching him, like he's a really good tight end, and can be a red zone weapon, as we saw with the Eagles this year. Can split out a little bit, so he just does a little of everything. I wouldn't mind spending up for it. I don't think you're gonna like Pitts is gonna command the most. Goddard might be next, but because he's older, you might actually get a slight discount. So, yeah, this is my fear, Huheems, is they'll bring in Mercedes Lewis because being the oldest team the last 2 years wasn't enough. They were trying to go for the trifecta. But no, I wouldn't mind Goddard because I just think whether they get Ayuk or not, like they just need some maturity in their offense. Right now, it's Terry McLaurin. Like from a skill group standpoint, it's Terry McLaurin, JCM under contract. Chris Rodriguez is going to be a restricted free agent, so he's probably back. But there's no. Obviously, you traded away Brian Robinson. Eckler is a free agent and coming off a major injury. Zach Ertz is a free agent coming off a major injury. Those guys are probably not back. Devo is going to be a free agent. Noah Brown's a free agent. Just their wide receiver room is essentially McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, who missed, quite a bit of time this past year, and Jalen Lane, who, flashed more as a punt returner than a receiver. So they could use some certainty to their offense. I think if they want to get the most out of Jaden Daniels, they have to get somebody you can rely upon. So I wouldn't mind that from a tight end position. And like I said, Goddard can do it all. So I like Goddard a lot, but we'll see, because I do feel if the Eagles were to trade away A.J. Brown, I think that could be them the sign that they're trying to re-sign Goddard. All right, waiting on one more for the little board. All right, anyone needs a little board? I was looking on Twitter. Apparently there's this Saquon Barkley tweet on Sean Mannion. I've never really seen a system like his. It's refreshing. definitely think that is a shot across the bow, particularly to Kevin Petula. But it is interesting because, before that there's Kellen Moore, and then of course with the Giants, Brian Dable. So I think he's saying more. A lot of different coaches, a lot of systems. Interesting. Says it's refreshing. You get something new. You get to learn something new. I have to imagine Kellen Moore's offense was quite different than Brian Dable's, but right, we are started. I am sitting at the 7th spot, and I see Nice and Blunt at the 5 spot. He was on Huheim's stream earlier this week. And yeah, there he is at the 5th spot. Huheim's, appreciate that. Don't forget to smash the like. All 40 watching, we got 14. No, yeah, thank you for that. Yes, please smash the like. Really appreciate that. Really helps us out a lot. Which one, huh? Appreciate you jumping in. I'm not doing any UFC DFS stuff. Every now and then, I tail some stuff, but I don't feel I know it enough to talk about, for my own content. I don't always play UFC, but it is, I know it can be a fun DFS sport and betting sport, but I just haven't done a lot with it. All right. Paul saying Ertz hasn't officially retired, right? Yeah, as far as I know, neither him or Eckler have officially retired. I mean, Eckler being on like the Christmas Day broadcast. And just as we've known, like between the concussions 2 years ago and then, tearing up, I honestly can't remember if it was Achilles. I want to say it was Achilles for Eckler, but either way, it was a serious injury, and I'm assuming both Eckler and Ertz was much later. That was knee. I'm assuming they both retire, but as far as I know, it's not official yet. Yeah, UFC can be random. That's how I've played it before. But no, I won't be doing any streaming of that. But again, appreciate you joining and appreciate you asking. So I go JT at 7. To me, that's a fairly easy click. McCaffrey got pulled up here, which I get. But I'm going to take JT right there. And we'll see how this draft goes. It's been a while since I've done a little board. I did a couple early, when ADPs came out. Did at least one on stream. But it's been at least over a week since I've done one. So definitely good for 20 max. I wanted to mix it up at different times, but now I feel like I wanted to get a couple more in before the combine and free agency. Trent Bride's a little tempting. I'm going to go Saquon. I don't do much Trey McBride, and a little past ADP could have made sense. It's just it's too much of an opportunity cost. Mike saying some of us have no self-restraint, have them all our little boards done. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's 20 max, and it's definitely disappointing to see that. Last year's 50 max, I thought that was a better way. I mean, love best ball, I love underdog, but it's that's why I'm hoping we get some more tournaments. So Mike asking, what's the schedule for the upcoming week for all these new weekend ears? Yeah, so I should be streaming probably every day this week. Most days will be at 1, maybe some others in the afternoon. And then I do think I will. I still should have Sibling Showdown with Meg on Thursday, probably Thursday night. And right now I'm currently. I'll be off tomorrow. Not going to stream tomorrow. Might have some members only shows come out tomorrow and the next day. I'm on the clock, so I should probably focus on that. Let's take T. Higgins. JT Barkley, T. Higgins feels like a good start. But yeah, Monday through probably next Sunday, I'll probably stream it every day. I'd imagine most days starting either between 1 and 2. Also on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, I kind of know my schedule. I'll stream at 1, do a couple hours, and then I'll be jumping on Huheim stream at 3. I don't think we've finalized a topic yet, but we're going to try and be doing a topic once a week, dive in deeper, and really look at it. First one we did was, wide receiver twos on some of these elite offenses, or where the wide receiver two can essentially be a wide receiver one, and then dove into a few other offenses that are a little more murky to that extreme. But I thought it was a really good conversation the other day, and looking forward to what we come up with for next week as well. I'm going to take Colson Loveland here. I didn't take McBride earlier, and I think Loveland a couple rounds later is just a much better click. So yeah, keep an eye on this channel, on our Twitter. We also post in our Discord. We have a free Discord. Link is in the description below. In addition, you can support us by becoming a YouTube member or joining our Substack. You get 1 week free trial, but then it's a one-time payment. We're covering NFL basketball every which way. We have a lot planned for post-draft and when they release everything else. But we do a couple articles a week. We do member-only streams. So just a lot that we try and put out there, and we appreciate the support in helping us grow and do this. But yeah, this week, because I'm Combine, I'm planning on doing a stream every day. Flyfish saying he maxed a little board last week as well. Did 10 slows the moment it dropped, not knowing it was 20 max, because I just assumed it was a lot more, and by 15 I noticed and just went with it. Yeah, I did my first 2, I think the same, not even noticing that it was only 20 max. Not slows. I did them fast. I wanted to, before I was doing the big boards, I wanted to get some, just familiarity with the ADPs. Took Tate last one. Let me take Makai Lemon this time. So 0221. At Flyfish saying I really like the wide receiver 2 value show. Appreciate that. So no, I'm glad you liked it. I think Huheims and I, there's a lot of things we see eye to eye on, some things we see differently, but I think we've always had really good discussions, whether in our drafts or when we were breaking down weekly games last year. So I enjoyed those conversations, and yeah, I liked how the first show turned out. So coming up here, probably looking at another wide receiver. Could go second rookie, but I'm going to go Mike Evans. I mean, just him knowing that he's back. I think his ADP, we're not risking the retirement anymore. That to me was the only reason why he should have been in the 60s, was that like 5 to 10% chance that he just calls it a career. essentially no matter where he lands, I think he should move up. And like I gave the example before, like Ravens wouldn't be the best landing spot because of low volume, but, and sorry, Mike, our Ravens fan, like if he signs to the Ravens, I still think his ADP should go up. It's Zay Flowers' ADP who's then wrong at that point, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't see really a landing spot for Mike Evans where his ADP should be in the mid 60s. So sitting at 0-2-3-1, even with the running back start and throwing the tight end in there. I like our wide receiver room with T. Higgins, Lemon, and Mike Evans. So by ADP, I think I'm going to go Ricky P. Get a fourth wide receiver. You know, unfortunately, Burrow does not. And 79 would have been late for Burrow, but so maybe I target Baker and Purdy in the next couple rounds, or at least one of them. But gives me another option there. I do like Alec Pierce a lot. Wasn't going to go Tucker Kraft. Could have taken a quarterback like Herbert and Lawrence and try and backstack them, but I do think there's a bit of a wide receiver break after Pierce. I mean, I consider Diggs in that tier, but he also is easily gettable now later. Pollard goes, would have considered that. I think I'll take Lawrence falling a little bit. Easy to backstack, and also, you know, if I don't, I'm okay with it. You get a little bit of a fall for a guy who usually is going late 70s. So I feel like there's a lot of options for me at this next pick. Even if most of them go, I feel like I should get one of them. And if not, which is looking to be the case as everyone's getting picked, I can more than easily find something else. Chuck going in the top 100. That's a bit unexpected. So I might not get any of my guys, but that's fine. I do not. I'll just take another quarterback. I know I could do Baker, but Bo Nix is another one you can backstack. I like his ADP price. I might still take Baker if he's up in my next pick. You know, that'd be near his ADP. Mike Rob asking, so how many teams do you see have well below than average quarterback play, as there are a lot of openings and no one that is available via free agency or the draft that can actually help a team? So I think this depends on what you're defining below average quarterback play. Are we talking about it for fantasy purposes or NFL purposes? Great example, of course, last year. Make a pick and then we'll get to it. We're going to go back to the running back well. I'll take Jonah Coleman. Carson Wentz. Nobody's idea of a good quarterback, a usable quarterback, but what he was usable was to Justin Jefferson and a little to extent to the other weapons as well. But Jefferson averaged almost twice as many yards per game. It was like 95 to like 47, somewhere in that ballpark. Those aren't the exact numbers between his 5 games with Wentz and his 12 games without Wentz. So I think we're looking at quarterbacks who can improve on situations. And, it's not going to take much to improve on the Jets situation. It's, the Dolphins options are probably on par with what Tua did last year. But what it does improve upon is the Quinn Ewers situation. The Browns decide to bring in somebody. Yeah, it's probably going to be an improvement over Shedeur, what we should expect for Shedeur Sanders. Let's take Jaden Higgins. Again, Minnesota, I don't think it'll be Carson Wentz, but whether it's Kirk Cousins, whether it's Geno Smith, whether it's Derek Carr, if they shoot for a little higher for Kyler Murray or Malik Willis, it's all going to be better than JJ McCarthy in my book. So I think those are situations that are not guaranteed to be better, but could be fine. And like Mendoza, could maybe Kubiak do something with Geno Smith and get him back to usability? Sure. But they're going to go with Mendoza, and it's going to be better than what we saw last year. So for a guy like Brock Bowers, who had plenty of good weeks with Geno and in that offense, just, didn't stay healthy, but he had a couple of monster weeks, that Jags week, that Chargers game, one or two others that were pretty good. I think Mendoza can be a big plus for him. I think the let me get to 1 second after this pick. Let's get my third quarterback. First one that I've stacked up. But we'll do that. Running back's going to be a little weaker in this draft. Young guys like Dobbins and Connor going just wasn't going to reach. The one tough situation is probably the Cardinals because, Kyler Murray, for all his issues, has been like a slightly below average quarterback the last couple of years. People want to knock on him like he's the worst quarterback in the league, and it's just simply no. And Jacoby Brissett, from fantasy purposes, did okay. I mean, it was a lot of volume based, but he was happy to, let it rip. And that, benefited namely McBride and Michael Wilson, but probably would have benefited Marvin Harrison Jr. As well. They have a real chance of being in a worse quarterback situation next year than just last year and years past. So that's one of the reasons why I'm down on McBride at his price. I do like the offensive system. I like the offense coach. And, we'll see. I also don't be shocked if they end up keeping Kyler. Don't be shocked, which Kyler fell here, but not going to take him. Let us go. Let's go Hunter Henry. Will this be a 2 tight end build? I think probably might do 7 running backs at this point. So that's the one that, I think is more up in the air. Just because if they don't get Malik Willis, if they don't keep Kyler, they're probably looking for a downgrade at the quarterback position. Honestly, even if they maintain Jacoby Brissett, the chance that he doubles down on what he did last year, I think is fairly low. But yeah, I mean, in real life sense, all those situations I mentioned, nobody should be excited that it's going to lead you to the promised land. I mean, Mendoza potentially long term, maybe Malik Willis long term, maybe Kyler. you get the bounce back, as we've seen with so many guys recently. But fantasy wise, I actually think a lot of situations could end up being, net positives. Mike saying, totally love the idea of a young man who spent his last year in Pointe, Indiana, going to Vegas, keeping his head on straight. He's going to get his jersey retired in a Vegas brothel. Yeah. Mendoza, he definitely doesn't seem to have that Vegas vibe, that's for sure. But that's probably a good thing. All right, we need running back help. I am going to go Aaron Jones. Whether he's back with Minnesota, whether he's cut, I think he's still playing and could fill in as like a passing down type back. Not a great wide receiver range. We'll see if anything gets back to me that I like. Definitely a few names I could add in there. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, Flyfish. When LaFleur got hired, I said this on stream a couple weeks ago. I would not be surprised if Kyler's back. I mean, Kyler was definitely not going to be there if it was still Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing. I think that was clear. But it's so, and I do think it'd probably be a trade versus a cut. Like Tua is definitely getting cut, but Kyler, they could trade him. But you're only going to get like a 4th round pick for him. You're not going to get, some massive deal for Kyler Murray at this point. And, then the initial things was Cardinals are moving on, Jason La Canfora reported it. And now there's reports in the other direction that, not so fast, my friend. It's like, Kyler could be their quarterback. I actually think that should be the most likely scenario. Like, you'd have to eat a big chunk of dead money to only get like a 4th round pick. I just don't see the upside for you. And then like it's not like Jacoby Brissett's a young quarterback where you're like, okay, like we're gonna take the like let's say, and I don't think Mac Jones gets traded, that could happen, but let's say Mac Jones had been the quarterback who broke out behind Kyler last year. I could see them sticking with a Mac Jones. He's relatively young, second chance. I mean, Jacoby Brissett is a fine game manager quarterback, but there's a reason he was on those like backup quarterback videos. This guy, he can fill in and be a stopgap, but he's not the answer. And, Kyler may not be the answer as well, but I could see LaFleur saying, let's give it a shot. Instead of seeing him go somewhere else and rehabilitate his career, like Daniel Jones, like Baker, like Sam Darnold, like all these other guys, like even Geno Smith at one point. Let's do the Indiana double stack here. So yeah, I could see LaFleur pushing to keep Kyler. I mean, I think he and Nathaniel Hackett and the rest of the coaches probably want to talk to Kyler, make sure Kyler's head's on right with it, and they both basically are like clean slate, and let's see what we can do. But yeah, I would not be surprised if they end up keeping him, because I think that's their best chance to, I understand people say that it was McBride, like Kyler is what hindered McBride. I actually don't fully believe that. I think it was more McBride took off because they threw the ball 50 times a game. They threw the ball 50 times a game because, yes, Kyler would run some, but we see other mobile quarterbacks have very good tight ends. Look no further than the history of Lamar and Andrews. But the bigger thing was no running backs, so they threw the ball 50 times a game because of that. I think McBride is going to have a tough time being tight end one again and paying off his ADP regardless. So why not keep Kyler? Why not see if you can, have your franchise quarterback that way? Because you're not getting in the draft this year. And there's no guarantee that, and if it goes wrong, then go all in on next year's quarterback class or whatever. Let me make my pick. And I know I went on a tangent there, but so Singleton, I think, makes the most sense here. Imagine Jamarcus Russell now joining the Raiders. Raiders would be amazing. That is true. That is unquestionably. Flyfish, same thoughts with Stroud. There's all this chatter. Houston would move on. Really, so many teams would sign CJ in a heartbeat. Yeah, no, same with Stroud. Same with Bryce Young. Now, do I think those teams should be wary of, just giving them the back, and Stroud and Bryce Young, give them the 5th-year option. If you feel you can get Stroud at a discount, do it. But if you think he's going to want, I don't think Stroud would get top of the tier money, but I think he would get, pretty high up there. All right, we'll take K-Dot and no, I'll do Freiermuth over Rotten. So, if you think it's a reasonable extension for Stroud, I'd do it. But if not, just get the 5th year. You can give him franchise tags after that. You have a couple years to make the long-term decision for those guys. But I don't think either one are in a position to give up on it right now, because you're definitely not getting a better option this year. And even next year, I understand there's a lot of theoretical big names, Arch Manning, Deontay Moore, Julian Sayin, Sellers. All those guys underperformed this past year. And it could happen again. And B, you just don't know if you're going to be in a position to get them. And it's not always easy to trade up. I mean, look at the reports of what some teams are offering, to get up to 2 or 3 to get, May or Jaden. Washington Patriots just weren't budging. And maybe at some point you could have made an offer they couldn't refuse. But then you have to ask if it's worth it. So, no, I completely agree that, and like Ken said, I think Kyler is undervalued. I agree. I completely agree. We saw him and the team be more successful when he was paired with the offensive system that could utilize his skill set the most. I'll take a Keenan Allen shot on this team. We'll take a 6th running back, but I think Allen, I still think he plays. So this being a $3, I do feel better about taking some of these shots, like a Jordan James. And Claiborne kind of falls here. Not as high in Adam Randall. Taylor, Jalen Wright. I think I would do Jordan James here. So I completely agree with this. Terrence with a brilliant OC, he would sort of at least until you get to the playoffs. And also from a fantasy standpoint, he had top 10 years with Cliff Kingsbury. And I understand there was, he tore up his knee, but I don't think that's the issue. I think he could still be a top 10 quarterback with a good offensive system. He's poo-pooed because he's under a bad administration. Keller is an elite, but he's upper echelon talent-wise. Yeah, no, I agree. Yep. When it's similar thing, Darnold and Kyler, very polar opposite in being tall and short, but like you find a coach, and it was Kevin O'Connell, and then Kubiak, who they knew how to use Darnold's best attributes. For Darnold, it's his big arm. Let's throw the ball downfield. Yes, we'll probably have a few more interceptions than we'd like, but we know we can utilize how to utilize him. Same with Kyler. You find the area. You utilize his mobility. Obviously, he's got a good arm as well, but you need to find the best ways. You want him on the move. Kyler is at his best when he can make plays with his feet, not just getting rushing yards, but buying time. Like they're just historically, you go back and watch, and yes, some of it was with kind of a prime DeAndre Hopkins, but he still has the weapons. Like the weapons are not the issue. Offensive line could get a little bit better, but it's let him buy time, make some big plays. Mike Robson. Terrence is obviously a big Call of Duty Kyler streaming fan. Kyler needs a coach who's respected with a tight leash. Yeah, 100% how I feel. I understand not extending Bryce Young. Stroud, I would. I think Stroud is more likely to be extended. My point is, you don't even have to make that decision now. Like, they're entering their 4th year under contract with us. You pick up their 5th year option, and then you can, franchise a guy for 1 or 2 years after that. So you easily have 2 more years, if not 3, to determine, do I need to go long-term with this guy? Is the way I see it. So I think Houston could look at it like, yeah, we'll make the commitment now. This way we're not messing around with the franchise tag and all that kind of stuff. And you earn the risk is if you might be able to sign Stroud for like the 10th highest quarterback contract, where if Stroud balls out the next couple of years, he could get the first, even if he's not worth the first, and he's arguably not worth the 10th, but you could get him at a lower rate. So there's some determining factors there. I stand, Stroud. Houston operates like he's Jaden Daniels when they should be building their team like he's Goff. I think that's a very, very good point. I agree with the sentiment on Stroud. I would definitely not try to overpay. Let him be himself and surprise everyone. Yeah. So if you get him at a deal, extend him. If not, just go year by year for these next couple of years and then make that decision. And you still might end up making the long-term decision, but at least you have more information. See your options. Nice and blunt thoughts on Team 5. Yeah, I'll go over your team and my team. So this team, 3-6-8-3, didn't get the stacks I want, but I would much rather have starting quarterbacks, especially those with a little bit of rushing upside in Lawrence and Nix, than worried about getting perfect stacks, particularly in big board season. JT Barkley, so double elite. Jonah Coleman, hopefully he gets a starting role. Aaron Jones, Singleton, Jordan James, a little thinner at running back than I generally like, but with the double elite, I think it's fine. Higgins, Lemon, Mike Evans, Ricky P, Jaden Higgins, Omar Cooper Jr., Elijah Surratt, Keenan Allen. I did end up going to third tight end. With Loveland and Henry, I thought about just doing 2. I think Freiermuth's fine there. There was not going to be a 7th running back at that point. I barely like Jordan James. So adding that 7th running back there, I don't think moves the needle that much. And I didn't need a 9th receiver. A lot of youth here, with the exception of Mike Evans and T, and Keenan Allen, of course. And T, who's been in the league a fair number of years now. But I think it's a lot of upside. I think the top 4 receivers are pretty well set. I think Higgins, speaking of Stroud, I mentioned him yesterday. I like Higgins' 2nd-year breakout. Like the double Indiana guys, and Keenan Allen as well. And strong tight end room. Freiermuth is just like the cherry on top when you have Loveland and Hunter Henry. So I'm going to do one more draft. I'll go back to the big board streets. I've been enjoying the discussion, been enjoying the drafting. So let me enter and then I'll get back into chat. So this will be my last draft of the day. And I will count it down, Aaron, in 10 seconds. Aaron, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. Wayne on 3. Paulino checking in and asking, who are you expecting is going to have a big combine that we're not talking about right now? So this is tough because I think overall, this is not as strong as an overall class outside of the maybe exception of wide receiver. I think the running backs, most likely to have a big combine because I'm presuming Love does not participate. I hope every other running back does outside of me, Singleton due to injury. I think Singleton would have had a big combine, but obviously don't expect him to. The guys who I think are going to really help themselves are guys who we are taking, Price and Emmett Johnson, but both are very, very explosive players. I expect them to definitely help themselves and create a lot of buzz. Let's see. I am sitting at the 11th spot. We got Legion at 9. Sweet Leaf's back in here. We got T-Bear in at 7. Danimal. Not sure if he's in chat. I think he was in the last draft as well. So if you are, say hi. But thanks everyone for joining. So other running backs beyond that, Claiborne could run a pretty fast time. I would expect. I could see like somebody like from some of the workout numbers, like I would have expected Kalen Black, but apparently he wasn't invited to the combine, which shocks me. I don't know what happened there. I could see Jaden Ott having a big combine. Huhings calls out Desmond Reed. Yeah, I think he'll run pretty well and do well in some of the elusive drills and pass catching drills. Not the greatest runner. Receiver wise, Steph in the first draft took Brennan Thompson in the 20th round. He would be one of the favorites to run the fastest 40 time, definitely among the receivers. There might be some corners who run a pretty fast time as well, but he absolutely flies. I expect Omar Cooper Jr. to do well. If KC Concepcion works out, I would expect him to do well. If Jordan Tyson works out, I think Jordan Tyson would do really well. Not sure if he will or not. As I said before, like Odunze worked out, kind of a surprise a couple of years ago, and I do think that helped his stock. I could see the same for Tyson. So sitting here at 11. Okay, ASB's gone. I've been pointing up Jefferson here just because there's a drop-off to me from Jefferson now to every other receiver, where this running back cohort, those three guys are similar. I think Saquon is right at their heels, so I kind of know that I'm getting one of them back. And in this case, it is Hampton. Go to the board. As for some other rookies, Malachi Fields, I'll be interested to see what he runs. Like, there are times where it looks like he's put up a really good time, and also for a bigger receiver. Like, he's not going to run like a 4.3, but if he runs like a 4.48 for his size, that would be very impressive. Not sure if he will. Trying to think of another. Casey Concepcion, I think, could really blow up the combine if he works out. Somebody else. He's not my favorite guy, but Branch could have a really good combine, assuming he works out. Guy who goes later, always been super hyped up, Deion Burks, extremely athletic. never put it all together in college. It's always like tantalized with his athletic ability. Could be a fun one to watch. There's actually a very athletic group of receivers like Josh Cameron from Baylor. You could see putting up some good numbers. Ted Hurst. His 40 time, I think, will be big for him. He played at a lower level. If he shows he's got the juice, I think that helps him quite a bit. Chris Brazell would be another one, working out for Tennessee. He needs to show that he can be a vertical speed guy. Steph saying about Brandon Thompson, yeah, he's fun to watch. Like, he's like speed for days and can get vertical. Like I said, if he gets like 4th round draft capital, I just don't know what his draft capital is going to be. So I haven't really taken him much now. I probably should sprinkle him some in the 20th round. Is if he gets 3rd or 4th round draft capital, he's absolutely worth drafting in BBMs as like a spike week guy. Yeah, Steph is very sharp. No, for sure. Yeah, 4.57 would be good for no, absolutely for a bigger receiver, but I wouldn't be surprised if he cracks 4.5. Ted Hurst equals DJ Chark. I like Fields' UVA tape quite a bit. Showed he's more well-rounded. Yeah, it's interesting. UVA, they utilized him almost more as a possession guy. Like, they would pepper him with targets, and he's not the cleanest route runner. So at times, like, I think what he does best is get vertical and jump balls in the end zone, like uses his size in the end zone. And UVA, I don't think utilized him the best, but I think they showed that there's more to his game than just being, a vertical X. So I think that helped, but it's like, I don't think they utilized him the most for their team needs. So I won't be taking Rice. Can assure that. Breece Hall, I'm just more worried that he returns to the Jets. Kyren is a guy, every year we want to say reason why not to draft Kyren, and every year he just dunks on us. Legion taking my guy, Devontae Adams. See, I'm going to take Kyren here. Yeah. 3 straight years. This is what crazy. His breakout year, 239. He missed a game or two. 255, 245. I mean, just model consistency. We're getting him end of the 3rd round. Elite offense, even with Corum, working in. We saw it in the playoffs. They went right back to Kyren. Like, yeah, there's probably going to be stretches where Corum has games with more points or whatnot, but he just is such a great role that very few backs can contend with. Would have loved having Ladd there. I didn't get ASB in the first, so let me take JMO here. JMO is a guy who I think is fine in this range. It's not one that massively excites me because we're probably drafting him relatively near ceiling. It's a good ceiling. It's a ceiling that we have a reasonable belief in. Like, he's gotten more involved every year. Lions, Jared Goff, it's like these last 4 years, his average is like 4,200 yards and 32 touchdowns. And the low is like 4,029. So it's not like it's had a massive swing. Like, he's very consistent. Yes, his numbers spiked more without Laporta. But Huames and I went over this the other day. I also think a lot of that had to do with the Johnny Morton offense coordinator situation. So we'll see what the new system is, but I think we just know he's locked in as one of the better number 2 receivers in the league. Should he go much higher than that? No, but I think he can still pay off that price tag given the offense. Just back to the combine stuff, the tight end position could get interesting. I think guys like Trigg could do well at the combine, but I really think, I hope Sadiq works out. I think it would be in his best interest since he was just kind of a 1-year starter and didn't have massive numbers. Some of that is Dante Moore. And the other thing, the other guy who I really like is Eli Stowers. I think he could look really good at the combine. I'm not expecting much buzz from the quarterback position at the combine. I'm assuming Mendoza doesn't work out. And, even if Simpson, Nussmeier, all those other guys work out, I wouldn't expect a lot of buzz to come from that group. So coming up at 59, 022. We'll see what gets left for me. T-Bear making a nice call, taking Mike Evans and ensuring that I will not be happy. But no, I mean, that's what I said. Like, there's no reason Evans should be going in the 60s. I do like this Ranger wide receiver quite a bit. Judkins is still there, which I don't hate. But I think I will go Christian Watson. I'm fully expecting Romeo Doubs to be gone. Watson, talk about a guy who did come back from injury and hit the ground running. Just came back earlier than anyone expected and also played at a pretty high level basically as soon as he came back. I just think with Doubs gone, he's going to be kind of clearly the number 1. Metcalf goes. That's fine. I'll take Sutton. So 024. Really like this wide receiver start. I still have 2 kind of anchor running backs to build off of. So I don't know. I feel like, Watson, the injury risk is real. But boy, he looked the best that he's ever looked. And now, this is like the first time he's coming into an off season like fully healthy. Just, I don't know, a lot of hope there. Paulino, do you think Sadiq can hang in there in line enough to not be one-dimensional? His size concerns me. Yeah, he's a little undersized, but he's strong. So I don't think it's as clean as some situations that you like, but and yes, it has hurt Kincaid a little bit, but Kincaid, Laporta, Bowers, a lot of recent highly drafted tight ends, their blocking is a struggle at best. Harold Fannin, not known for his blocking. Loveland, definitely not the strong suit of his game. Warren is more of the complete tight end. But, it keeps you off the field until your receiving ability shows that you're good enough. You're enough of a weapon. I think he can be fine. I don't think he's a complete zero at it. I think he's strong and will just continue to get stronger. So, he's just raw in a lot of areas, but he is a freak athlete. Oh, wow. Appreciate this, Paul. This is it, my final draft on UD until they release a new contest. I guess I'll go be productive for 2 months. Well, damn. I appreciate you jumping in. Yeah, hopefully they do release a new contest. I'm sure you want some exposure as some ADPs change with, combine and free agency. So I will hope for you that there's plenty more to come. So, I have later stacks at quarterback set up. Could still take somebody here, like Alec Pierce. Manga's not a bad call. Pollard is fine. Yeah, I'll just take Justin Jefferson or Justin Herbert. Sorry, I already have Justin Jefferson. I'm okay taking good players. I'll take one of these two. Double tapping quarterback is fun there. I think I'll lean running back, Tony Pollard. I don't have a ton of him. He had a productive year, honestly, very similar to his production the year prior. And there's just no need for the Titans to move on from him. And if he does, I think he then would be fairly popular in the open market. So now seeing at 1, 3, 4. Got a third running back I feel decent about. And then, still like that strong wide receiver core. We'll see what comes back to me. Wouldn't mind getting one of, hopefully I can get one of Love, Goff, or Nix. And then maybe another wide receiver or running back. Maybe Gadsden also, just for the Herbert stack. Just saw this pop up on Pro Football Talk. Liam Cohen and James Gladstone won't be at the combine. Bit surprising. I know a couple of teams do this, but to not have either one there. Seems, I get it for some extent that you don't have a first round pick because of the Hunter deal. Yeah, I don't really love that. I think you can get a good feel, less so about because apparently the report was they're going to do no player visits. I think that's unfortunate. If I would want as much information. I know it's only a 15-20 minute interview, but you can get a lot of information in that time. And then even if you're going to meet them again, it can give you more. It's less, the workouts are the workouts, and I'm sure they're going to watch them and judge the numbers for what they are. But it's less about being there versus watching it. But that time with the players, and then while there's the official like 30 visits, there's a lot of unofficial visits that happen as well. So, and I know they'll have other scouts there and stuff to do some of those, but just interesting for a team that it's coming up a great year. Legion saying the rookie prices are so depressed this year outside the top at each position that any combine noise is only going to shoot guys up. I already scooped the free agents before they sign. Yeah, I think it would be more like maybe some situations where guys fall, Evans is back in Tampa and Mbuka falls 15 spots or something like, stuff like that. Okay, Bo Nix is there. So I will do another Bo Nix share. But we'll see if Gadsden gets back to me. Could obviously go Love. Or might go, I think I would do Gadsden. That's fun. And there's no receiver here that I desperately want. And I already had Chargers piece with Hampton, so I now have a nice little Chargers team stack. And I have Knicks with Sutton as well. But no, I understand. That's the nice thing about the post-draft stuff is, then those ADP prices, you are getting just different value there. You can judge it along those lines, but I do think we will see some movement in free agency. And I agree with you. A lot of the free agents are underpriced, but it's like for me right now, I have no Tootin because he's going 70 something. I wouldn't mind having some Tootin, but if ETN re-signs, then yeah, I'm going to want him when he goes 115, because that's kind of where he should go. And even if it's not ETN, if they sign Rico Dowdle or, Tyler Algier or something like that, I still think he should fall. I worry that he doesn't in those other scenarios, but yeah, I run the risk that ETN doesn't re-sign and they don't sign any big names and Tootin's price goes up. Okay, so be it. That's the way I approach it, at least. All right, let's see. We are at the last pick in the 10th round. So halfway through, T-Bear is sitting 2341, Legion 2161, I'm at 2341. I'm not sure if Sweet Leaf's in here or Danimal or anyone else. So I'd probably be looking at a running back and receiver if possible, but we need to see what gets back to me. Of course, Emmett Johnson goes. I figured that was, when I took Gadsden, I didn't think. So I would love one of Coleman or Emmett Johnson to come back, but that is very rare. So Concepcion goes, I will take Kenneth Gainwell here. To me, it's one of the tougher prices because he goes to the Steelers or somebody like the Steelers who will utilize him the same way. A lot of value upside. He could also go to a situation where he's kind of buried and, where he's just like a better version of Ty Johnson, kind of like how he was used for the Eagles. And then he's, he should go 5 rounds later. But I don't want to have 0. As a 4th running back, I feel like I'm a little protected. And the other reason is I thought I could get one of these 2 back. I think I'll go Romeo Doubs. So seeing it 2, 4, 5, 1. Feel pretty solid with every room. We got Bendels checking in. GM Steve, how's your weekend going so far? Going pretty well. This is my 3rd draft of the day. I'm going to wrap it up after this, but doing okay. Potentially could get some snow tomorrow, which in Virginia, I'm kind of like right on the line. So not looking forward to that, but overall, been doing well. Hope you're doing well. Also, Peppertone checking in. Sup, pups? Doing good. Wrapping up this draft. Did a big board and a little board already. This is my 2nd big board of the day. I won't be doing a stream tomorrow, live stream that is, but I will be back on Monday. Those just jumping in, don't forget to like this episode. We appreciate all the support, and after the stream, also drop a comment. That helps the good old YouTube algorithm as well. But we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you commenting, drafting. But liking helps quite a bit, and comments after the fact. And of course, we have the free Discord. Jump in, say hi. We do a lot of good football talk. We do a little PGA and baseball talk. I probably will do a baseball, at least one. I want to do one baseball stream this coming week, maybe even 2. So Wendy, I've been doing a lot of slows there, but I want to do some of that as well. And just really enjoying being back in the best ball streets. Paul saying, I don't regret maxing yet. Talk to me in a month. Everyone drafting this tournament can draft no later than April. Yeah, no, I mean, I generally agree. And I think it's like you said, like you want to get the free agents now. Like we saw with like Steph Diggs last year. He was going like 150-ish at this time. Signs, gets one of the perfect landing spots, ends up going like 80th, and then after the draft goes up even higher because they didn't make a big stand in the draft. No, I do agree, and it's also just a different animal, 20 round versus 18 round post draft. But I still, I'm saying it more for myself than anyone else, but I hope they draft or drop in a couple more contests, even if it's like what they did with baseball. They had a $5 5 max baseball contest that filled within 5 days. Do that. I just want to draft more, but that's me. $155 quarterback. Yeah, lost that window. Tight end got a little picked over. We'll pull one up. It's going to take one with these 2 picks. A lot of times you can get like Barner or Henry or Andrews to fall into this range. We've also been, definitely would have taken Sadiq there had he fallen. This is not a fun I'm not seeing a lot of screaming value. Might just take Franklin, double stack, or Sean Tucker. I think I'll take Sean Tucker. I think he's going to be the goal line guy for the Bucks. They'll let White move on. Should hopefully be back to two-man backfield. Yeah, that is wild. It just shows how little we know. Now, I do think a big part of him falling back down was all the bad Stafford buzz. Like if we didn't hear that, I know I took a ton of Adams and I would have drafted more, if not for the Stafford stuff. So I think that was part of the issue. But I agree. Like, we just see wild ADP stuff all the time. I mean, look at how long it took for Brandon Ayuk to start falling in ADP wise. That was so crazy. And I mean, even in first quarter stuff, and some of it's just people being dumb, but he was going in like the top 120 in the first quarter when you knew he wasn't going to come close to being played in the first 4 weeks. And we're still going like the 120s, 130s in late August in BBM, when again, there was 0 positive reports. So sitting at 2.552, probably not looking quarterback. I just kind of ignore the JJ McCarthy range right now. Maybe that bites me. I'm guessing it won't. Likely Njoku, Schultz or Hawkinson. It's fallbacks, a lot of receivers. I'm not taking Calvin Ridley here. I could see him signing somewhere. But I think the landing spot is going to be very, very important to see if there's any sort of value there. No, and I was saying another thing is like, free agency, for instance, like the Najee Harris, it was like and yes, it was a 1-year deal. And some of it was incentive based, but they were likely to be earned incentives, which meant the Chargers were paying that, it counted against their cap. They didn't end up having to pay it because it got hurt, but it was counting against their cap. So I was like, yeah, we'll take Najee in the 60s, the 50s. Why not? And then, of course, they go out and draft Maureen Hampton. All right. Trey Harris went. That's unfortunate. Actually, we will take Dalton Schultz to get a third tight end first. Since this guy only has 1 tight end, he only has 4 receivers, so could very be well-looking receiver, but just feel there's other options for me. So we'll get another Cooper Jr. share. And there were others, like I thought, I did not expect the Browns to draft 2 running backs. So I was like, oh, Jerome Ford, he's going to be fine. I took a ton of him pre-draft. And then they spent a second and a fourth, and offense was just beyond terrible. So yeah, a lot of times the best laid plans just don't work out how we expect. So 4 more picks to go. I'm sitting at 2563. We'll probably make this the standard 3683 done at tight end. We have Legion through his 16th round pick, 2671. T-Bear at 2473. And rounding into the last couple of rounds. Yeah, no, I mean, another one, like after the Bucks re-signed Chris Godwin, who would have thought that they would have drafted, Mbuka in the first round? But, I think as much as they like Godwin, they knew he probably wasn't going to be ready early on, and that's why they did. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Even if we get news on like the Tyreek Hill signing, I think Hill is in a much worse situation than Godwin. Let's not just assume that he's ready for the jump. All the free agency signings I had: Chase, Slayton, Diami, Tutu, MVS, Palmer. I'm just mixing up my late round picks a lot more this year to avoid Chase up for the round 22 guys. Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, MVS didn't even make the team, because of a rookie. And definitely these guys who only get 1 year, I do think we need to be wary more. And even multi-year guys, like, because even like Diami and Tutu, we'll go Trey Tucker. Even guys like Diami and Tutu, like when the team, Tutu being more surprising just given that it was the same offense and same coach, but like Diami, they took the shot on him, but it didn't work out for Liam Cohen, and Parker Washington it is. And shout out to Off the Schneid, who was always in on Parker Washington in pre-draft, and then after Travis Hunter, I think he was out on him. We'll take Ray Davis as my 6th running back. Could have gone Aaron Rodgers there for the 3rd quarterback. If he gets back to me, fine. If not, I'll just do another late round quarterback. But yeah, the Slayton and the Josh Palmer one, both got injured. That was for sure a factor. But it was wild because the opportunity was there for both. Neighbors getting injured. For Slayton, unfortunately, he couldn't stay healthy. And then Palmer, like Cam Coleman, just working his way into the doghouse. Of course, his injuries also impacted his ability to excel in that. But yeah, neither one's really guaranteed a role for next year. I think Slayton's probably in a better position, just with Neighbors coming off the injury and Wandale free agent. But yeah, it is wild sometimes with some of these signings. And sometimes you have to look at it the other way. I remember 2 years ago after Washington took Sinnott in the 2nd round and even kind of traded up for it. I mean, you guys remember post BBM, he's going like round 15, round 14, like people were taking him high, and it was like they just signed Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz had the Cliff Kingsbury connection, and all we heard about was Ben Sinnott was just going to dust Zach Ertz. That did not come into fruition. That was definitely not something I was on. I was on the Zach Ertz side of that. I took him sparingly. I had him on my big board team final because I didn't really expect them to draft a tight end early with that signing. They still did. I'd still take him some in the 18th round. and I'd like me 4%, like not a crazy stand or anything, but I had, like 0.5% Senate, Senat, whatever. And yeah, it was just sometimes you need to look at it the other way as well. And for me, it was always this Cliff Kingsbury's guy. They're going to want the veteran tight end for the rookie quarterback, the guy who they know can get open, move the chains. No, that is very much Senat's problem. Is he's much more like a fullback, H-back than a tight end, and he was just kind of shoehorned into the role in college and position. Wait, is this? Sorry, Frog Clone. Is this real? Javonte signed. I haven't seen it yet. Just check Twitter real quick. But yeah, let me know. I'll check again shortly. Paul saying, is with the Ford, 4.0 yards per carry, caught a ton of passes. I've drafted him all the way up to the pre-draft close. Yeah, I know, me too. And then after the Judkins stuff, I was back in on him, which was a huge mistake. We'll do another Keenan Allen. No, could retire, but if this is a 7-man wide receiver team, it's still going to be strong. If Keenan Allen plays, I think it could be massive. Let's tack on a quarterback. Here, I'll probably lean Geno over Carr. But let me check out Twitter now that I have a second. Ian tweeted underdog tweet. Wow. I mean, that's what I expected. Let me see if it announces it. Like what the terms were. 3-year, $24 million deal. It's very similar to what Swift got a couple years ago. Yeah, that's smart. Smart for them to lock it up early. Shuts down those Breece Hall rumors. I'm glad. I have a solid percentage of Javonte. Now I can draft him with more confidence. So I like that quite a bit. I still could see the Cowboys either bringing in somebody cheap or drafting somebody to contend and take a little bit of the workload from Javonte. Not sure it's going to be Jaden Blue. Right now, I'd still be taking him these next couple weeks, Frog Clone. I don't think he jumps too much, right now. After all of Combine and free agency settles, maybe he jumps more. So I'll be taking him kind of like the Mike Evans thing, like not that Javonte was going to retire, but just getting any positive news should help him. I'll feel even better about it. And this is very positive because we know exactly where he'll be. So, yeah, I think Javonte now firmly will go ahead of like Judkins, and that's about it. Like, he's already going ahead of Swift. Usually, I still kind of like the Swift side of it, but I'm fine either way. I think both should go ahead of Hendo and Harvey. So right now I'm super low on both those guys. All right, let me review these teams, and then, I will get on out of here. So my team ended up being 3683, Herbert, Nix, Geno. Second Geno team of the day. Not my favorite thing to do. I have Herbert and Nix. Geno ends up as a starter somewhere. It can, just give me more outs. Hampton, Kyron, kind of as double anchor. Pollard, Gainwell, 2 guys in the middle, and then 2 guys later, Tucker and Ray Davis. I think that's a pretty solid running back room. Not as high as upside as, some other drafts, but for sure enough to get through this gauntlet. Really like the start of this receiver room. Jefferson, J-Mo, Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton. Maybe it's Geno, but more likely it's Cousins. Either way, should be an upgraded quarterback for Justin Jefferson and Enyon Romeo Dubs, Omar Cooper Jr., Trey Tucker. I feel pretty good about those 3. And then Keenan Allen, kind of the wild card here. But another guy who, look, if we get news that he's continuing to play next, in the next week or two, he's got to go up. Rondé Gadsden, Theo Johnson, and Dalton Schultz. So 3 tight ends. Felt the need to reach a little bit on Theo and Schultz to just lock it up. Not that I had to, but tight ends were just going off a little differently, and I like kind of ending in the Schultz range. We got T-Bear in here, 2693, Daniels, Baker Mayfield, James Cook, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, took 3, then took Charbonnet, got a 20 pick fall on him. And that's kind of where, I'm having him, and definitely worried with, the latest news. But, in a 6 running back build, I think it's fine. Hopefully he starts to fall more there so I can get some more shares of him. Richard Smith, Ollie Gordon, rounding it out. Second-year guys could be into bigger roles this year. Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman Jr., Chris Godwin, Deebo Samuel, Pat Bryant, Torrey Horton, Keon Coleman. So, really strong core here. I think Deebo, Godwin are underpriced. I think Pittman's underpriced as well. So nice core through there. And then, some young guys like Pat Bryant, Horton, Keon Coleman, and Darnell Mooney, probably getting cut, but, still might have life in his next role. Kyle Pitts, we'll see where he lands. Could easily be back in Atlanta. Dallas Goedert, same kind of same thing. Could be back in Philly, or could be a prime free agent target. Then Travis Kelce, it sounds like he's back. I think it's smart to be getting him in the 150s, because when we hear that he's back, I think he's easily going, 120-ish range. And then we have Legion here. His final draft until Underdog drops something else, 2873. And this is, what I know Legion likes to do. So I think he probably finished it with, his preferred style of drafting. Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, also getting a fall on both of them, which is nice as well. DeAndre Swift is kind of the anchor. And then James Conner, Alvin Kamara, Katron Allen, Kamani Vidal, Brian Robinson Jr., Nicholas Singleton, and Isaiah Davis. So just threw volume added after Swift, but easily passed for Connor, Kamara, for sure to be in big roles. Even Brian Robinson is a free agent. Vidal is a number 2. Katron Allen is and Singleton is rookies, and then Isaiah Davis, depending on the Breece Hall stuff. Receiver wise, Lamb, Nico, Adams, Pierce. Really strong 3. I love the Pierce call. QJ, Shakir, Rashid, and then when those are your 7, you can stop. Tyler Warren, K. Dotton, Pat Frymuth. K. Dotton, we'll see where he ends up, but should be starting somewhere. Pat Frymuth right now just seems undervalued. Jonnu's definitively going to get cut. Yes, they have Darnell Washington there, but probably A, he's come back from the injury. B, Mike McCarthy could want more of an athletic tight end. That's been more of his MO historically. I still think Darnell Washington will get plenty of playing time for sure, but I still think a lot of paths for Frymuth to be the number 1 there. And of course, Tyler Warren is Tyler Warren. So congrats on wrapping it up, Paul. Hopefully they will drop some other things so you can jump back into these streets soon enough. Let me hit up chat, and then we will get on out of here. Best Ball Cabal. Nice to see Javonte tied for my 6th highest running back, 15.9% through 126 drafts, 20 teams. Nice. I drafted 2 shares of Javonte. Couldn't even make it out of 150 without regret. Snipe. Yeah. That's too bad. But, we will see. I bet they are going to release something at some point. But thanks everyone for joining. I will be back on Monday, probably at 1 p.m. Eastern. Hope everyone has a good rest of the weekend, and we will catch you next time.